everybody had a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays and safe holidays, as we did here. Just been staying with the grind, practicing daily, watching a lot of film, focusing on getting better, focusing on getting better at some of our weaknesses and strengthening our strengths. We're talking about having a Big Ten mentality, a Big Ten mental toughness as this league, as again, we've said this multiple times, it's the best league in the country, and got to have real tough skin, and you got to focus on yourselves and focus on the next one that's in front of you, and that's exactly what we're doing right now.
Thanks, Coach. Corey, we'll begin with you, and Ben Jones, you're on deck.
Hey, Jim, I hope you had a good Christmas. Of the
Thanks.
hundreds of scenarios that you have to coach, how do you coach having a big lead and keeping your foot on the gas? You said the other day, you got to keep your foot on the gas. How do you design scenarios where you're up 16-2 and you teach your kids to make sure to keep playing the way they are?
Yeah, well, it's a multitude of things. The one thing is keep them fresh. We got to keep fresh bodies in the game. We got to keep our guys in a flow. While you try to keep guys fresh, you're also trying to keep guys hot, right? Like not taking guys out or playing well, but you got to keep our bodies fresh, especially in the front court. Where we're facing some bigger, more skilled guys in the front court that are wearing us down a little bit. The other thing too is us not having as many games. Like I've said this before, we just haven't played that many games this year. So we're constantly working on situations throughout practices, really legitimately putting up 19-4 with 8 minutes to go. Okay, let's figure it out. End of game situations, constantly working on end of game situations. Up 8, 3 minutes to go, down 2, 4 minutes to go. Just putting these guys in as many game-like situations as possible while we've not really been able to have the time to do it in games because we just haven't had games. So trying to just put these guys in situations. Watching a lot of film, again, looking at certain lineups that are in the games at the time where maybe we're playing well or at times where we're not playing well. We're giving up leads at certain times. So it's a multitude of things that we're working on, and we're going to continue to work on.
Ben Jones, you've got the next question. Nate Bauer, you're on deck.
Jim, I'm curious, when you look at your weaknesses, what is the balance for you between getting better at those things and getting better at the things that you would do to mitigate them in terms of, maybe if you're not as good on the interior, you get better at outside shooting. How do you kind of balance improvements in both areas without wasting time?
Yeah, that's a good question, and we're not wasting time, and I'm not if anybody that knows me, that's my biggest thing is time wasting. So, hey, it is adjustments, right? We played 6 games now. We're really trying to see who we really are. What are our strengths? What are our weaknesses? We obviously have to continue to play to our strengths. We have to be a team that flies around the court. We have to be scrappy. We have to be scrappier. We got to do a better job of rebounding the basketball. We got to keep some guys in the paint off balance, whether that may be, doubling the post a little bit more, digging at the post a little bit more, throwing different bodies out there. So I don't think we'd be doing anything that's wasting time right now. We have to play to our strengths of who we are. I think that's something that, we talked about as a team. We really have to embrace who we are. We don't have Lamar. We don't have Mike. So we can't think that we're going to play that way, both offensively or defensively. So we really have to embrace who we are, that we have to play with great quickness and speed. We have to share the ball. And then defensively, we just got to, get tougher. We got to grind some things out. We got to, overcommit to helping the paint a little bit more than we've been doing in recent games.
Nate Bauer, you've got the next question. Jacob Ferry, you're on deck.
Hey, Jim, how are you?
Hey, Nate. How you doing, buddy?
Good. Hey, obviously everything about this year is unusual, but just you touched on it, to have one game over 17 days or whatever it is. Are there pros and cons to that? Do you wish there were more games, or is there? I guess what's your approach to this unusual of a stretch?
Yeah, I wish we had more games. I'm one of those coaches. I like games. There's a lot of coaches out there that like practice. They don't really like the games as much because I guess there's a winner and a loser. I like games. I play games all the time. It's been really difficult. It's been difficult to stay in a groove, get in a groove. It's funny you said it because I just looked at we played 6, they played 9, and not using that as an excuse at all by any means, but it's different. Game situations, there's been rhythm. We're going to get into it now, and then, you might ask me, and I'm looking at a calendar over here, you might ask me that same question in 3 weeks, and I'm going to ask for 10 days off, because they're coming. So, and ultimately, because of the year, we really didn't have control over it. We tried to get games. We tried really hard to get games to fill in those gaps. And, in the end, when you couldn't get them, you really couldn't focus on it. You can't focus on not having games. You have to focus on, okay, we have practices. So we've scrimmaged a lot more than maybe we would have in the past. And like I said before, trying to put our guys in a lot of game situations. So, it's stuff we're going to see. We're going to see how it plays out. Maybe we'll feel like we're extremely well rested and come out and flying all over the place, or the ball could be flying all over the place because we haven't played. I think that's something that we're going to have to be alert to once the ball gets thrown up at Indiana too. Again, where's our stamina? When you haven't played a bunch of games in a row now, and that might have been part of the situation. The other day it was we came out, we jumped them, and then all of a sudden, look, we ran out of steam a little bit against Illinois. And even so, it was like a close 7, 6, 8-point game, most of the game, even down the stretch. And then all of a sudden, we did look really fatigued at the end when I got done watching the tape. But got to figure it out. It's a different year. You got to have a different approach and be ready to adjust.
Jacob Ferry, you've got the next question. Dave Melendra, you'll be on deck.
Jim, you and I know a couple of guys on the team have talked about this year how, there might not necessarily be a go-to scorer, and one of the strengths is that, a lot of guys can put the ball in the basket. But even if that's the case, are you concerned about the drop-off from, a guy like Seth or maybe some of the other guys who aren't scoring at the clip they were at the beginning of the season?
I don't know if I'm necessarily, concerned about it. We are built differently. We are going to be a team that could have a different leading scorer every single night. It really could be that. I mean, the other night I think it was MJ and Isaiah Brockington, and MJ really hadn't played well, hadn't had big numbers. So to see that he was able to come around and do it, which I knew he would, that gives you another scoring threat. I think that gets more, the focus gets more important, maybe late game situations where who are you going to for a bucket? That's where it plays out a little bit differently. Where last year it was like we were going to Lamar. Everybody on our team knew it. Everybody on the other team knew it. We were going to Lamar, and then we were going to play off of him that way. With us, it's a little bit different. We're going to really see who's playing well at that time of the game, who's been playing well, the scenario, what's been given up, what we see defenses are breaking down on. So it'll be a little bit different in that regard, maybe end the game. But we have to continue to play the way we're playing offensively. I mean, we're sharing the ball. We're really not turning it over at a high rate. We're scoring at a high rate. We just got to get it all to click at the same time. In our 2 losses in the league, we lost the Michigan game not because of defense. We defended very well, especially the second half. I felt it was offensively we struggled. The game against Illinois, it wasn't our offense. We obviously scored 80-something points. We probably could have scored more, but it was our defense that broke down. So when we can get everything put together, we can be a really dynamic team, and that's been a problem since we haven't been consistent up to this point, and that's what we're working on right now.
And just quickly following up on that, you said that, okay, you can have a different leading score every night. Is that something that's tough to get these guys as players to buy into? Because I'm sure, they'd all like to be the leading scorer at some point or, routinely throughout the season. So how do you get them to buy into that?
Every team has a leading scorer. Even teams that lose every game, there's always a leading scorer. Now, do you want to win and have everybody be balanced scoring? I think that's what our guys want to do. Our guys want to win, so I think they're really bought into this. The other thing too, guys, you look at basically we have one guy playing 30 minutes a game, and that's Jamari. Everybody else, the minutes are very balanced. When you can put a team on a floor that can, 5 double-figure scorers, that's a hard team to guard. That's a hard team to scout. And I think that's who we are. And I go back to what I said earlier. We have to embrace who we are as a team. Now, again, that's on the offensive side of it. We also have to embrace who we are on the defensive side.
Dave Melendra, we'll go to you next. And then Corey Geiger, you're on deck.
Hey, Coach, how would you assess how your players have handled everything so far, especially being in isolation and just being in their own bubble?
I think our guys have been tremendous. I can't say that enough. I think the way they've handled the virus, the testing, the protocols, everything, they've been outstanding. We haven't had one kid late for a test. We haven't had one kid not do what they're supposed to do. I mean, we've really, I give these guys so much credit, and I think when this is all over, and knock on wood, hopefully it's going to happen soon, I think our guys are going to have grown so much as young men to have handled this the way they've handled it, the maturity at which they've handled it. They haven't even complained about anything. You know, we're getting our guys up really early now to get the testing done earlier because now we travel a lot more. There hasn't been one complaint out of these guys. I'm really proud of the way these guys have all handled it.
And secondly, for me, is how do you think the Big Ten Conference has handled everything so far, especially how they said they were not going to play this year and then started back up?
Well, we never said we weren't going to play. That was on the football side of it. I think the Big Ten has been tremendous. I mean, you look at all the leagues that have had shutdowns already, and teams that have had complete shutdowns, and our conference, we're rolling along. You know, the protocols that have been set forth by the Big Ten Conference, and then each university, and then the follow through by the administrations and the coaching staffs and everybody involved to even get these games off the ground. People have no idea how difficult this is to get one game to be played with all the people that need to be tested and who's allowed in and not. And I think our league has done the premier job. I think everybody in the country should actually be looking at what we've done as a conference because I think it's been done very well.
Corey Geiger, let's go to you for your next question, and then Ben Jones, you'll be on deck.
Jim, how good do you feel for Lamar Stevens making the team as an undrafted rookie, scoring his first couple of points? And then secondly, how beneficial can it be to Penn State basketball having some guys in the NBA? I know Josh isn't active right now, but you got Tim, you got Lamar. How much can that help if you can tell kids, hey, Penn State can get you to the NBA?
Huge. First of all, obviously you saw my face light up when you brought up Lamar's name. Like, you know, how great was that for Lamar Stevens to score his first points against the Philadelphia 76ers, right? Like, and it makes us all so proud here. You know, the work that he put in. He's in the league. You know, I texted with him last night. We text him all the time. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but I put pressure on him about a week ago. I told him that my son Leo picked him on his fantasy team, so that was putting some pressure on him too. So we're just so happy and so proud. And again, you know, that's a credit to where this program has gone over the past couple of years. And you know, you had Tony Carr drafted. You have Tim Frazier in the league. You had Josh Reeves playing in the NBA. You have Lamar Stevens in the NBA. You know, it's a credit to these guys, you know, whether the recruiting aspects of these guys, be able to recruit guys like that here, our development, to work these guys and develop these guys into pros. And I think that's really going to help Penn State basketball, and it has. And, you know, we have a bunch of other guys here working towards that same thing.
Ben Jones, let's come to you next, and then Nate Bauer will have you on deck.
Abdu seems athletically maybe the best fit for what you guys are trying to do in terms of speed and things like that, but ironically sort of the least prepared guy right now in terms of the experience that John and Trent have. How do you kind of get him in a position where he can contribute more meaningfully, but at the same time, you know, not putting yourself in a position where he's more of a detriment than not?
Yeah, we got to keep throwing him into the fire, you know, and just let him roll, man. Like, just play it, but put him in. Having them play a little bit more with the blue team, the starters, and practice every day, putting them in those situations. And then as a coaching staff, you know, we had to simplify some things ourselves. We need to play him a little bit more. So maybe the things that he's been struggling with as a coaching staff, Keith and I have really made some adjustments to some things just to simplify things for him so he doesn't have to have 1,000 things running around. You know, am I doing this? Am I doing that? No, you just do this and we'll play around you. So that's some of the stuff we're working on because obviously, especially on night, you know, really got hurt in the interior through Abdu in there. And the game was just moving a little bit too fast for him, and he had a couple mistakes. And we just got to get him as much experience. And again, that goes back to us not really having played a lot of games where we could have thrown him in those game situations. But it is what it is. Like, we're not going to, you know, that's not miraculously going to change and have more games. So we just keep working with him. Great kid, works really hard, wants to learn, and he's going to get better every day.
really quick, what is the communication like with him? Because I know he had some hurdles getting here. Historically, what is that sort of obstacle like at this point?
There are certain things, but extremely bright. He's extreme. Like, listen, I speak one language and I don't really speak it very well. He speaks like five. He's a really bright kid. He's intelligent. He's a great kid. Cares. Great teammate. So that stuff is easy. I think it's what people don't really understand too is he didn't play last year. He sat out last year. So it's a whole another year away from basketball, and then you're taking him in, you're saying, here, go guard Kofi Coburn. Go ahead, go do that after not playing for a couple. That's a difficult challenge. So he's really working hard. We're really working hard with him, and we're so happy he's here with us.
I know Nate will let me jump in with this note when we speak about balanced scoring. Penn State is one of 6 teams in the Big Ten that has 4 individuals that are averaging in double figures. So there is not a single Big Ten team that has all 5, has 5 individuals in double figures. So Penn State is one of 6. But Nate, will come to you for your question, and then we'll go to Jake Ferry after that.
Jim, bear with me here, because this is obviously a superficial analysis, but like we're going to look at the rest of the Big Ten and all of the big guys, the talented interior players, and say that Penn State has a particular vulnerability defending the interior. How do you prevent John, who obviously is going crazy to defend the inside? How do you prevent those guys from taking a pessimistic view on it? Like, how do you reframe it as a positive for what you guys do?
We gotta embrace who we are. We have to play at our pace. We got to play faster. We got to be scrappier. We got to put more pressure on the ball so that they can't feed the post more to give John help. We got to help throw doubles at him. But at the same time, we got to pull those big guys away from the basket because of the ability and the strengths that we have on the other side of it. So, a guy like John Harra, he's not stepping away from any challenge by any means. And I think that's really what our focus has been over the past couple of days is really, hey, this is what we're going to face, but then we have to get better at what we do as well to make them have to make adjustments to us as well. So it's 2 sides of it. I think like anything else in this league, because the league is just so good, one game can just flip everything. The confidence level is keeping your confidence and keeping your mental toughness. And I can say that I was a part of that team here. Like, one of the most mentally tough teams I've ever been around was that team. We started 0-10 in Big Ten play, 0-10. And we didn't vary from what we were doing. We got better at it, and we wind up turning around and getting a bye in the Big Ten tournament. I don't know if that's ever happened before. And that's the mental toughness that you need to have in this league. I mean, all right, we're 0-2. We're not really feeling great about ourselves. Michigan State's 0-2. Indiana's 0. I mean, you got some great teams that are 0-2, and it's about believing in what you do, getting better at what you do, and being prepared for that next game. And I think that's how you just got to approach it with these guys. And I think we've done a pretty good job of that.
Jake, let's go to you, and that'll be the final question for today.
Jim, throughout the last 20 minutes or so that we've been talking, you've routinely stressed, playing to your identity and, sort of playing Penn State's brand of basketball. Up to this point, now 6 games into the season, you look at some of the games and you said, okay, we haven't maybe played a full 40 minutes. Some days the offense has been playing better in the first half and the defense has collapsed in the second, things like that. Is that, do you think, more due to execution, or is it a mindset of guys are either getting complacent or sort of pessimistic, maybe like Nate was saying, and thinking they can't dig themselves out of a hole?
I don't know, Jake. If I had to answer that question, I think we'd be probably a little bit more consistent right now. Really, we've only played one full game. I think we played the Virginia Tech game. We really played a whole 40 minutes, both sides of the ball, and we looked dynamic. We did it in spurts against VMI. We did it in spurts against VCU, CPaul. I think, like I said, part of it, are we breaking down fatigue-wise? That's something I got to look at. And that goes into my practice structures. You know what I mean? Are we at peak performance time come game time? Is it lineup situations? Are we playing the right group of guys together in certain situations? Even look at myself. Am I taking a timeout at an appropriate time? The ones at the end of the game, those are the easier ones to say, take a timeout, don't take a timeout. Do I do one earlier in the game to, whether it's settle us down, get fresh bodies and stuff like that? So we're evaluating a lot of that stuff. The one thing that you're good about is you can see yourself do it, right? So when you see yourself do it, playing really well, you know you can do it. So now it's just getting the whole group, make sure everybody's bought in totally to what the task at hand is, and just staying focused on what we have to do as other teams make runs at you, because everybody's going to make runs. And I think that's what we just got to make sure we keep composure and still stay true to who we are and what we're doing.